So I removed the back wheel, given it a bit of a clean, got the 20 years worth of dust off it. Thought I might as well make a small video about what we had to go through to get this wheel to stay together, despite it being standard McIntosh fare. So to start with, McIntosh built the hubs. They were cast and then machined, two identical halves, which were then fitted together and had 4 bolts put through, which held on the sprocket carrier and the disc carrier and clamped the 2 halves together. Now, the holes for the bolts weren't reamed to size, they were just drilled, well, as far as we could tell, they were drilled to take a bolt that went through. Now, the problem with that is that the 2 halves can rotate just a tiny little bit relative to each other. So what this allowed was the sprocket side half of the hub would rotate in the direction that the chain was pulling it slightly more than the other side, and that what this resulted in is spokes on the sprocket side either breaking, which we had a number of, or there would be a piece pulled off this piece of aluminium, and we lost a number of pieces off this. At one point there was one bit broken off and another one ready to go with cracks. So what we did on this one was we machined this whole lip where these spokes go through. We machined it off, machined up a new piece out of superior aluminium, and then welded it on to this half of the hub. Now that was only half of the fix. The other half was we actually welded the 2 halves together so they became one hub, and then to improve the whole thing, where these studs go through, the holes were drilled and reamed to size, and these are actually manufactured to fit the holes precisely. So you got the bolts which may have held the hub in alignment, but certainly it's just done properly now. So welding the 2 parts together, since we've done that, no problems. We did find that once the horsepower got up, that we were actually breaking spokes. So there was an old guy here, friend of a guy called Bob Haldane, who was an expert in lacing rims, and he actually manufactured these spokes from, I think, Jaguar spoked wheel spokes. So they're designed to handle quite a bit of power and weight. And since we've got them all fitted up, it's been just fine, no big problems at all. So that's all good. So as you can see, the sprocket is a 630, bit old school the size, and this one's a 30 tooth. So you can imagine with 3 teeth less that the chain was actually getting pretty close to these bolts which hold it to the sprocket carrier. The other thing is that the bolts, where they go in the back here, they actually get right down close to the hub. So there has to be a very careful check on that when you when we fitted it all up, especially with the smaller sprocket. It gets right in close, and there's actually a little bit there's a recess machined off the hub where the bolts go, just so it could fit. One of the things I wasn't very impressed with when I got this bike was that the bearing where it fitted into this is the hub, this is part of the hub, it's not part of the carrier. The carrier slips over top of this. There's like a boss machined in it which it slips on. This bearing into this housing was machined incorrectly, and there was clearance, like the bearing just, you could just lift it and drop it in and out. So it was machined out a tiny little bit more, and there was some shim put in there. So I'll be revisiting that to see what better way it could be done. So yeah, and the rim itself is a gold anodized DID, which was the duck's guts when I bought it. don't know if you're able to read it. The size is a bit amusing now, 18 by 3.5. So I've got a 3.5 inch wide rim on my little FXR 250 race bikes, which is, it's quite amusing thinking that those little 250s got exactly the same width of rim. The good thing is the tyre's got plenty of tread, so it'll be good for a few more races. Just see how that goes.